You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 146. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. Today's guest is coming to you from Australia, and I absolutely love where our conversation went. Rebecca Saunders is known as the Video Ninja. She's a video expert who works with business leaders, course creators, and speakers to ensure that they make their impact on the world through video. One of the biggest highlights, though, was how she brings up authenticity and how she realized that this is something she was demanding from her clients, but wasn't demanding from herself. So you're going to hear about that journey and what that actually meant for Rebecca. Rebecca's style and smile lights up a room with her bright pink lipstick, and bright pink is simply her color. I absolutely loved it. She is a good friend of mine that I met in Necker Island, bringing you another one of these amazing, incredible women who are just crushing it in everything that they do. And we had many coffees, looking out at the Atlantic Ocean, cocktails at night, and just bonded and had a wonderful time. So I'm excited to introduce you to Rebecca and for you to hear her journey and her story. Hello, Miss Rebecca. Long time no chat.
It's been a short minute, right?
It has. And friends, if you're just tuning in, I just recorded with Rebecca on her show. So you'll see that coming out on all of the platforms as well. And I had to have her on my show. So can you take a moment to introduce yourself to everyone, please?
I can indeed. Hello, I am Rebecca Saunders. You can find me actually on all social platforms under the Rebecca Saunders because I fully believe there is no one like me, as we all should. I'm a big believer in leaning into the uniqueness of you. I am known by my clients as the Video Ninja, and I operate a video production company across Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and America. Teach people how to make amazing videos and moving slowly as we work together, Michelle, in releasing my story of business journey and my growth, I'm going to say, with the autoimmune disorder alopecia.
So I am so excited to hear all about your journey and how you are a global agency because you are what made me a global agency.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be that person.
You are. So let's start out with your journey because I know it reminded me of the Jenna Kutcher story of, I spent $50 on a camera and then I became a photographer and now I make millions. You started out with $500 in your pocket and you left home.
I did. Yeah. I left the UK back in 2012, late 2012, with literally $500, my passport, and an absolute dream to live in Sydney. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I wanted to be near the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge and just be around such a beautiful city. And when I got here, I'm going to say I landed in the video space. I had been working on and off in hospitality. Anyone from who's done hospitality in uni, you either loved it or hated it. And I was one of those people that loved it. So I did a lot of hospitality work. One of the fun cafes is a fun fact. I was making puppuccinos in a dog cafe in the park. Like that's the kind of work I was doing when I first moved to Australia. But you know what? Meeting people. And if you can have the conversation with people and share your dream and share your vision with confidence and with openness, the right people are around you. So through those conversations in these various cafes, I landed in working in in journalism and copywriting. That was my degree from uni. And, it wasn't really my jam. It's not, I'm not much of a writer, really. I'm definitely much more of a talker. And at the time, I was networking a lot and met a videographer and went, you know what? You are so creative, but you've got no business nous on this whatsoever. And that's when I fell into video. From that moment on, I was telling people that I had a nationwide video production company when all I had is one videographer that I'd met. But you know what? When you fully believe that that's what you're going to do, it all happens and you've got the momentum in place. And, I'm sure you're going to ask me to delve into it a little bit more. But my first client when I had those conversations was LinkedIn. My second client that I've got on board was Microsoft. And I look back and go, how the hell did I have those conversations? And I was their person. But I was. And, fast forward 10 years and we now operate across Australia, New Zealand, the UK and the States.
And how did you come into this? You didn't have video experience and then you land these two ginormous clients. I mean, these are big corporations that just said, oh, okay, well, we'll go with you. How did you do this with, did you have examples to give them of some sort? What was your sales tactic around that besides saying you were a global agency that apparently I should have said a long time ago?
I think for me, videographers always come with a bit of a show reel. And we had, this guy had a little bit of background in terms of some corporate content that he'd done in the past. So we did have a little bit of a show reel to work with to start with. But the conversations I was having were not at the level of, 5-10 figure deals, 5-6 figure deals in terms of large corporate contracts. They were smaller video things, projects that, looking back, they were sliding underneath the threshold of needing approval for corporate spend. And so, I've worked with the most incredible organizations over the years. And I tell you, adding the ability to pay on credit card to my service offering, I think was an absolute game changer because it meant that we could create content for our clients stress-free, both with us delivering it as a stress-free option, but for them, they didn't have, all these levels of, internal politics, as it were, to get through before they got a project done. So I think that worked very much in my favor and it just grew from there. As I said at the beginning, I'm a talker, right? I can have that conversation and I can level with you human to human. I don't need the technical ability to produce the content and I still don't do it, Michelle. I still don't edit videos or film them outside of using my mobile phone and webcam.
Well, I never edited a podcast either. So I'm like, that's not my wheelhouse. I don't want to do it. I don't want to learn how to do it. I can do like the scrappy stuff in GarageBand, and that's the extent of it. But otherwise, I have an editor. That's his specialty. So I love that.
And that's where the magic is, right? It's finding what you are good at and finding other people to put that support structure in place. And that's exactly what I've done to build a global company.
And why do they call you the video ninja? I love that. I'm not sure why you don't have a headshot where you are doing like a ninja move.
Maybe because you're not here to direct that photo shoot. Look, for me, my work is very much behind the scenes. It is all of my crew are, when we're on shoots and on site filming for clients, we wear all black. We are traditional in that sense. We wear crew blacks. And crew blacks as a background is very much from more of a corporate event perspective where you're there to film the content, but you're not supposed to be seen or heard. You're very ninja-like. And so my clients refer to me as the video ninja because my team go in and get the job done without causing disruption to the space that we're in, to the event that we're at, to the client that we're potentially filming for you. It's very streamlined, it's seamless, and it's not a friction making scenario. We're a small team, we move quickly, we're in and we're out. That's as simple as it gets.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't see you as someone who does not get noticed because you have a personality that is big and bright. You wear the most beautiful, bright pink lipstick.
I do.
You're not going to go unnoticed somewhere. That is for sure. And can we talk about your autoimmune disease as well? Because I think it's really important, especially as someone who's doing so much video, that we address this part because I think a lot of people are uncomfortable doing video to begin with. But you're the prime example of what it means to embrace yourself and be who you are and do it on camera.
Yeah, and it was a long time in the making, Michelle. So I've had alopecia now since I was 7. Alopecia is an autoimmune disorder that affects the hair follicles. So I actually have no hair anywhere. I am not the person to ask for tweezers or ask for any waxing sort of recommendations. I've got nothing at all. And so for years I'd been wearing wigs. I've worn wigs through school, through high school, into business. You know, I've always worn wigs. Actually, I think on my website, there's a photo of me with all the different looks that I had across a day, right? Those photos were all taken in a day. And I remember looking at, when I started the business, this is awful when I look back at it. I started the business, I would document what color hair I was wearing to what meeting so as not to have any questions asked or cause any, potential friction with my clients thinking that, oh my gosh, who is this woman that's sometimes blonde and sometimes redhead and now she's brunette, like what is going on? So I would document that. And I tell you, that was really exhausting. And I had a couple of friends tell me, Becca, when you're ready, like you take that wig off and just shine and your business is going to just skyrocket, just own it. And it took a long time for me to percolate on it. And then one day it just clicked. It was, I am asking people to be their authentic self and to show up and lean in to them and who they are and what they do when every day I'm covering up who I am. And it wasn't until I put it into that perspective, and with a little nudge from a COVID lockdown, when I decided that wearing glasses, wearing a mask and wearing a wig in Australian summer was just a little bit too much covering up of, a lot of stuff, that something had to go. And masks were mandatory and glasses I needed to see. So the only other thing to go was the hair. And I just did it. I did it. I booked a friend for a photo shoot and I didn't do it small. I went all out across all of my socials. I changed the photography on my website one evening and just went for it. And I haven't looked back. It's been one of the best things I've ever done.
I love it.
But it did take a lot of work to get there. Yeah.
I love it. I love that you share this story and how real it is that you're encouraging everyone to be themselves, but you realize that you weren't being yourself. And I am sure that everybody embraced you and we're fine with it. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm not wrong.
No,
but
I've had no backlash at all, Michelle. I mean, on some of my Facebook ads, you're always going to get people that comment on the way you look and what you're wearing and whatever. But no, I've had no trolling, no bad responses. And if anything, I had clients and people following me online that messaged to say thank you because they were in a similar boat and just having someone in their orbit with the confidence to step out and be them. The messages that were coming through brought tears to my eyes. It was a pretty incredible response.
And that's how you're making your personal impact. I love that.
Very much so.
So you brought up COVID and you have a unique story about your business and what happened during COVID. So I want to talk about how when COVID shut things down, you shut it all down.
Yeah, well, I was ready to shut my business down in February 2020. With the rise of technology and the ability to buy pretty much everything you need to make video yourself on Amazon, on the high street, everywhere. Every man and their dog seemed to be making video. And I'd got to the point where I was just sick of having conversations with people and then them saying, oh, so-and-so's son can do it for us, or I've just got a friend that can do it for a bit cheaper. And I got to a point where I was working crazy hours for not a lot of return. And, it's hard when that's the hard point there where you go, I actually don't do the doing in my business. So for us, these conversations to now be so hard, it was heartbreaking for me to have the conversation with my team and say, I just can't do it. I just can't have you a salaried team anymore. I'm going to completely restructure the way the business is working. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that the way we're working right now can't run. And so for all intents and purposes, we're sort of disabling everything internally. And as and when the work comes in with the right people, I'll bring you back in. And that was the conversation we had in February. We'd agreed that there was a lot of tears in the office. They knew exactly where I was at, and everything was understandable. And they were very understanding and supportive. And then COVID hit. And we were in that turbulent space at the beginning of COVID where it was one of those pieces that we as a team just tracked how we could work. I didn't make anybody redundant at that time. We sort of had this verbal agreement that we would see how that month would go and what COVID actually was and what it would look like. And so we were tracking hours in terms of they worked the hours, they worked the hours that we had to work for. They didn't work hours if we didn't have the work. And we just had this fluid agreement, which saying out loud was just the most incredible piece because it was so supportive on so many levels, up and down and across the organization. And I'm going, what do I do now? That the whole world's grinding to a stop. And then the phone started ringing. And that decade of positioning and that decade of people knowing that I was the video person was paying off. That steady, boring conversations I have every day, that are about video, why you'd use it, how to build it, how to create it. My phone was going off the hook. I opened my calendar to free conversations with people as they were freaking out. And it soon became apparent that we were a decade ahead of the majority of people, right? There are other video companies in the world. We were a decade ahead of the majority of the population because we knew what we were doing and we knew how to transition into a virtual environment. And that's what skyrocketed my business from literally closing the doors to breaking 7 figures in 12 months. So we are a COVID success.
That's incredible. And so what was it that made people want more video in COVID? Was it because they realized that now we can't be in person, so we need to do more video to connect?
Yeah. So part of the video piece that we do for us, it was around teaching people how to set themselves up for success from home. So what webcams did they need? How as a speaker and a presenter that was booked on global stages, what equipment do I need to buy, Becca? How do I set this up in my home studio? How the hell do I build a home studio so that I can still deliver my presentations, my speaking content, my workshops to the clients that I was supposed to deliver it to from home? And so that was your starting point, right? The speakers, the presenters, the thought leaders that just had their entire calendar wiped, all of their work wiped unless they could get it into a virtual format. That's given me goosebumps just remembering some of those stories of watching people just lose their entire livelihood overnight was crazy. And on the flip side of that, you then had the corporates go, all right, well, we can't do our conference in person anymore. How do we make that virtual? How do we do that? How does that all work? And so they were the two streams of work that we had a lot of in the last 2 years.
And that makes total sense because the same thing happened in the podcasting industry, especially with the professionals who go to a studio to record and now they had no studio and they're like, oh, shit, I have to do something from home. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, I'm in my closet, been here for 2 years. It works. You get to try it now too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how is that transpired now that things are a little bit lighter? Are you still seeing the same kind of traction?
We are actually, yeah. So we're very fortunate that we have a studio space in Sydney. And And in Sydney, Australia, over COVID, we were considered data specialists because we were providing live streaming services. So I was very fortunate in the fact that my business wasn't closed down in the sense that it had to work remotely. So we still had all our equipment, all our space, everything ticking along. And so as technology has helped everyone, as the doors are now opening and borders are opening for travel, our work is very much now transitioning into online courses and educational content. So, organizations coming in that are putting together their own LMS system, their own learning management system. Speakers that are going, right now I've filmed my course at home and it looks a little bit crappy. I need to film it professionally. And so they're the people that are coming in the studio, having realized the power of the longevity of content if you can record it and on-sell it again and again and again. And so we're now helping people really up the quality of that recording content. On the flip side, conferences still aren't altogether hundreds and hundreds of people. So we have a lot of pre-recorded content that we're creating for organizations that will then play it in different states and different territories around the country or around the world where they've got smaller groups of team members together. So you've kind of got that hybrid effect without it being a virtual stream.
And then how does it work with, like you said, you're working with people in the States. How does that work? Do you have a team that's here in the States that's creating?
I do. Yeah, I've got people that dotted around in a couple of states across America, a couple of places in the UK. And so they are an extension of my Video Ninja team. And they will film and follow our processes. And then everything gets sent back to Sydney and we edit everything here and handle all client relations from this side of the world.
Oh, I love that. And since they're ninjas, none of us here in the States can see them, but we have to find them through you.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think one of the key things, Michelle, that I have genuinely done with all my heart and the best integrity in the world is everyone that works with me across the world as a crew member, as a team member, I have tested and tried personally. It's not just a case of going, yeah, sure, I can film in Texas. Let me just Google videographers there and hope for the best. I have built that black book of connections and networks and tried and tested humans that are at Video Ninja standard. And I think that's where that has been a solid foundation for us in growing in a global way.
I love all of this. One question for the small business owner who has a website. Do you think they need to have a video on the website? What should it be of if it's not, a link to their TED Talk per se? How important do you think that is to have video just on your website, your homepage?
I think it's super important because we do have different learners, right? There are people that will play that video and there are people that will read that text. If I had to pick one video, I would actually be picking an about you, either as an individual or an organization, because people buy from people. And so if you can really show why you do what you do, why, the impact that you've had, the results that you've been able to achieve for your clients or through your services, that's what's going to resonate. The shiny showreel stuff is just that. It's a shiny showreel that, all the beautiful stuff that you've created for people. But it's that human connection piece that people go, I can really relate to you, Michelle, because you are helping people have that impact on the world and share that messaging globally. And I want part of that. Like I want my message to be shared globally. It's that piece where you can relate to the other person, which is going to be a winner.
So it wasn't enough that I brought everyone in my closet. I now have to take a video of myself. Thanks for that.
You can do that in your closet still. No, but if that's the video that you do, that would be the one that I would get to do because it's essentially your about page with your beautiful language and the way that you would speak to your clients and share your vision. That's the magic. That really is the magic there. As an individual or small business owner, that is where your magic is in you.
I love that. And you have inspired me. So let's see what I can do over this summer.
I'll hold you to that. You've just told everyone that's what you're doing.
I know. Isn't that great? That's the beauty of a podcast, right?
It is. Unless, you hack that bit out and edit it out so it's no longer heard.
I won't. I'm not one of those people. I said it, I'll figure it out.
Well, you know the right people for help, so that's a win.
Yeah. Where can everybody find you and your ninja team, Rebecca?
You can find me at RebeccaSaunders.com and social media at the Rebecca Saunders.
I love it. Thank you so much. You're such a beautiful human being. I'm so glad we got to meet, have coffees and cocktails, and continue our relationship together.
I am equally as glad, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. I truly hope that you are smiling after listening to Rebecca and what she went through, not just to start her business, but to find her true, authentic self, what it meant to show up and be who she is and not be afraid of what others were going to think when she took that wig off. I can't imagine the stress and pressure she was under with tracking what color wig she was wearing for what client she spoke to. That's just, to me, it's unimaginable to have that kind of stress on yourself. And so I am so happy that she removed it, that she showed the world who she is, because she is absolutely stunningly beautiful. She doesn't need a wig. The pink lipstick does it more than anything else. I will be taking her advice to heart and thinking about a video to make for my About Me page. I love that she brings that up, that it doesn't have to be front and center on your homepage, but that it's a great way to connect with your visitors on the About Me section because they can hear straight from you. So take some of that advice to hand, but really go into the week being yourself, because people are going to love you no matter what, but they're really going to love you when you show them who you are and show up just as you are.